Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. I'm so glad you could join me today. I have a Christmas card for you today where we're going to make our own paper. And so I'd like to show that technique and show you how easy it is to do that. And then as you may have seen from one of my other videos, we're celebrating my getting to 21,000. I was going to celebrate 20,000 and you all moved me to 21,000 subscribers. So there's a giveaway on this video, as there will be on all of my videos through the month of December. And it's a product giveaway. And this time the giveaway is the Path of Petals stamp set, which is a photopolymer stamp set with 9 stamps in it. It's flowers and leaves and some beautiful sentiments. So thanks for watching, and the way to put yourself in the drawing for the stamp set Path of Petals is to, if you're not a subscriber, to subscribe to my channel and let me know that you did, and or to share the video. And so that is what it takes to get into the drawing. In the next couple of days I will let someone know that they've won. I'm going to have one prize, one stamp set for each new subscribers and for people who are sharing the video. So let's just get started. Here is my card. Isn't that just the prettiest little thing? I had so much fun designing this and making it. So it says "Joy to the World" here on the outside, and on the inside it says "Lots of love at Christmas." And so what we need to make this card is real red base that is 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. And then I'm going to show you how to make your designer series paper, and I'm going to suggest that you make a whole sheet of it, and that way you can get 4 cards out of this, or 2 full cards and some halves. There's a lot you can do with the full sheet of this designer series paper. Then I've got a couple of dies that I am using on this, and I'm using these 2 dies from the Hippo and Friends die set. Let me pull that out. Surprisingly, in this Hippo and Friends, including the little hippopotamus that can be turned into a unicorn here and a few other things, there's these beautiful label dies. There's 3 sets of label dies, 2 of which are stitched. And I'm using these. I'm using the smallest and the middle one in order to get my die cuts. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get to it. And then I'm using my dies from the Forever Flourishing. So this is a little bit back to your stash. And I am using some of the stamps from there as well. That's the Forever Fern. I used this stamp and then that die, which cuts it out. I used one of these leaves, and so I used that die to cut it out. And let's see, I think that's all I'm using from there. And then I am using from Itty Bitty Christmas, I'm using the Lots of Love at Christmas Time and Joy to the World for my stamping there. And let's see, that might be it. Then I'm using some of our beautiful red sheer ribbon here, and some of this beautiful mesh metal ribbon, and I think that might be it. And so I've got all of my die pieces. There's one more piece I'm using. There it is. At one more stamp I'm using, and I'm using from the Poinsettia Petals this piece of pine. Now you can use any pine bough that you have, but this is the one I decided to use because it was pretty substantial. All right, so, and then I'm using inks. I'm using Old Olive, Real Red, Mossy Meadow, and then I'm using a little bit of Blackberry Bliss. All right, so let's just get started. The very first thing we would do with this is make our designer series paper. So I'm going to move a few of these things out of the way and bring in my piece of Whisper White and my stamps. So I'm going to start first with those big berries. And I'm going to use my real red ink pad. And I'm just going to show you, we're not going to spend a lot of time, but I want you to understand how this works. Here's a piece of scratch paper for when I want to go off the edge. But to add some of these berries to your page randomly, and be sure to leave some room in between them so that you can add some of the other images. You can see I've already dunked my finger in the ink and got a smudge here. So we might have to have one more set of berries coming back this way to cover that up. And we're going to add these berries. And I'm going to not do the whole page here because I've already got some of this done, but I do want you to see what the process is. So there we go. That's close enough. Then I have, let me put that away before I get them confused. I'm going to use my Old Olive ink and my small group of leaves, this stamp from the Forever Fern. All right, and what I'm going to do is stamp this set of leaves in between. And again, I'm not going to do the whole sheet because I just want you to see what I'm doing. Then I'm going to close them. I'm going to put one more. I want something coming down. Well, I guess we're putting one there. But maybe one coming down here. Okay. Then I'm going to use my Mossy Meadow. And I did one version where I used Mossy Meadow, and I did another version where I used Shaded Spruce. And I'll show you what they come out looking like. You'd think there would be a huge difference, and there's really not. And so I'm going to use my Mossy Meadow, and I'm going to come in with this stamp and add some of this pine in between the spaces. And so it's real easy to make your own paper when doing something, a project like this. And you see how I kind of, this one is a photopolymer and really should be being done on a pierce mat, but I didn't set up a pierce mat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of pieces of Post-it note right here. I'm going to re-ink that, and I'm going to try and get that right over where it was before. And because it's a pine, it doesn't matter much if you hit it perfectly or not, but that filled that in. Now it looks complete. So you can do that with a stamp like this. And if you're doing photopolymer and you're not using a sheet or a pierce mat, make sure that you're putting pressure evenly all over. So what we want to do is get this impression down a bunch of different places here. Then I have a splatter here, and this splatter came from the Forever Fern. Down here, this splatter that I've got down here. I knew I didn't add yet another stamp set. And you can make this from just about anything. But I've got my Blackberry Bliss because I wanted another complementary color in here. And I'm just going to add some splatters around here to fill in. And you could do that with yet another, if you're doing this with flowers, another small flower would go in and look lovely doing this kind of thing, and then adding a few splatters. But I wanted to do just something kind of random here, and you can do as little of this or as much of it as you want. I wanted a fairly full looking background, so I put in, and see, just as fast as that, what did that take me? Just a couple of minutes. I've got my designer series paper. Now you can cut that up into small strips. You can cut it into card fronts like I used here. You can do any number of things. And by the magic of having already done some, there's my two versions. So this version is done with the old olive, and you can see that it's got more of an olive tone, and this one was done with the shaded spruce. And if I showed them to you, this one and then this one, you might not notice the difference, but this one is very olive compared to this one that has a little bit more blue in it. And I like both versions just fine. So that is what I did here, and no two sheets are going to come out exactly the same, but I think it makes a lovely designer series paper here. And so this is something you can do, make your own, and have it be just as fast as anything, and have it be very unique. Now if you did a whole sheet like we did here, only I would just finish this, then you really have enough to make, you know, if you treated this like a one-sheet wonder, you could cut squares out of it, you could cut strips that were 2 or 3 inches wide and put it down the side of a card. There's any number of things you could do with that to make a bunch of different cards. But for our purposes, I wanted an individual sheet. So the next thing we're going to do is put on our ribbon. So let me get all of my little ribbon pieces out here. So I have 2 long pieces that are going to go down the side of the card. Let's just pick one of these to work on. And I'm going to add some seal to the back of my card, actually a couple of lines of it along one side. And I'm going to set my ribbon with, I would say that's probably 3/8 of an inch margin there on this side, and then come around here and secure that ribbon on the back side. Then I'm going to add a second piece right alongside it and do that same thing. Secure those ends right down the back of that piece of card. Then I have this piece of ribbon, and I cut this a little bit longer. This is about 8.5 inches because I did want to pinch this in the middle, and that's going to shorten it up. And I want it to basically cover the red ribbon but not go beyond it. So I have one little piece of red sheer ribbon here, and I'm just going to tie this around my silver mesh ribbon and create a knot. Apparently I need a little bit longer piece of that ribbon to do this because you can always trim the ends down, so I'm going to make a little bit longer piece. That's too tough to mess with. So I'm going to make a knot in my red ribbon and then pull that kind of tight, and then I've got the pretty part of my knot and sort of the less pretty part of my knot here on the back side. So I'm going to try and lay this down so this comes out like this. And once you get it set, you can move it up and down this piece of mesh ribbon. And so now I'm going to add a little bit more of my seal to the back side here. And I'm going to try to get this pretty part of my knot to be here so that we can see a nicer part of it. So I'm going to grab this, pull it back, and secure it in the back. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. You see I'm putting my knot right now just a little bit above center. Grab this, pull back behind, and secure that in place. Then I'm going to take a glue dot and I'm going to secure this knot in the center. And because that ribbon is such that it is, when I push that glue dot down, it's going to hold both these pieces on the back and my knot bow in place here. And then I'm going to use my ribbon scissors here and pretty up my cuts away from the knot and try to pull those away. There we go. So that is now all set. This ribbon is a little challenging in that it likes to escape and get away from your adhesive. So often I found that I need to just add a little bit of Scotch tape on this on the back to hold this in place. And it's just one more step to make sure that it stays secure. Now, this piece is ready to go on the front of my card. So I'm going to add my seal to the back of my card. And put that into place on my card base. Isn't that pretty? Oh my gosh. Such a fun thing. Okay, so now we are ready to do our stamping, and I've cut my dies. And let me tell you exactly how I cut those dies. So these are the two dies that I used, and I cut one die out of the silver and it left me with the stitching. And then I placed this die, and you see they're not symmetrical, they're not the same. So what I did was you could do it so that these little square pieces here, or those pieces, you can do it that way. And I ended up on this one doing it so that these little pooch out parts of the second die came to the four corners. And you can put that on your paper and use some washi tape or purple tape or something to hold it in place. And if you're going to cut a bunch of these, I'd probably use 2 or 3 pieces of tape across the back of this so you could run it through again and again and again without having to reset them. And then I cut one white one out of here. So this is where we want to do our stamping. And on this, I did my stamping in real red. And I've got my Joy to the World here from Itty Bitty Christmas. And this one just seemed to fit in here just right. So the big thing with this one is deciding what's straight. And I decided world had to be straight at the bottom. So I'm going to set that in my grid paper and stamp that like that. Now, this, so what I have is I have another piece that I have used here that I'm going to secure this to that's exactly the same size, so that when I put this in here, it's not secure in that it'll just slide right through. So it needs a piece of backing, and you can accomplish that. And I'm going to use my scissors to just trim around this stitching, because I don't want to take any chance that that is going to show through behind my message. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to place this here and then this here. Now, in order for that to be on my card and be the way I want it, it's going to have to go on like that. And the other thing that I've done ahead of time is I cut a bunch of these leaves, stamped and cut some of these leaves and berries here to decorate my card. So I've got this little piece of berries here that I will just snip around. And in order for that to come out looking like this one did, what I did was I picked a spot on the card and I tucked this inside. So like right here. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to put a little bit of snail. Let me grab my silicone mat here. And I'm going to need a little bit on the front and a lot on the back. And I'm going to put that in place right up here. So that those berries are fitting in place right there. All right. Then I took another little snip of these berries, and what I'm going to do is cut around those and add some snail and put those on the front of my label here. And then I've got these little leaves, and I want those to fit sort of underneath there, and I don't need anywhere near that many, so I'm just going to cut out a bunch here and add some snail and fix these so that they fit right in here. And then I've got this little piece of leaves here that can fit right underneath there. And there we go. There, I've got some of that. Now what I'm going to do is make sure that this fits in this cutout exactly perfectly, and put some snail across the whole thing and attach my piece here. And there, that feels real secure now. Now I can use some dimensionals on this piece, and I'm going to do that such that I secure some of those pieces that I put in. Right here. There we go. And that is nice and secure. Isn't that pretty? And then my ribbon can come up over the top of that or not, depending on how you want it to be. And the front of our card is basically done. Now we could add some more bling to this, and I might, and I did forget to put my splatters on this little piece of card here, so I'm going to see if I can get away with adding those by just taking my splatter here and very lightly adding that there. I think that's perfect. Okay. All right. Now I have my piece for the inside of the card, and we're going to do a little bit of stamping on it. I'm going to add this "Lots of Love at Christmas Time" on the inside of my card. So right up here at the top, in the center. There we go. And then on the bottom, what I did was I took one of these sprigs of big berries and cut off the stem here, and I'm going to add that right down here at the bottom with some leaf detail right there. And let me put some more snail on it and put that as decoration right down here on the inside. I suppose we could add a little bit of ribbon if you wanted to down one side, but I think that's pretty good. So this, I'm now going to add my snail and put that into place on the inside of my card. And you can see, even with making your own designer series paper, this card is actually pretty fast once you've got your card pieces cut. So there we go. There is our card for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Or you could join my team. Now there is it's always a good time to join Stampin' Up!, but there will be a special join after, right after the first of the year. And I believe that it is, you get something like 6 extra packs of paper. I'll have the details up on my blog probably later today that explain all of those parts and components to that join offer, because it's a pretty good join offer. And it's the regular $125 worth of product for $99, plus this 6 packs of designer series paper in all different colors, and it looks like it's pretty special. This is December, and so my December prize for the month is the Birds and Branches bundle. And all you have to do to get yourself into that drawing is to put an order on my store, lbedinger.stampinup.net, or you can get to it through my blog, www.ingenuity.com. And again, the giveaway for this time is, if you're not a subscriber, subscribe and let me know you did. And or if you are a subscriber and you share the video, I'm going to do 2 stamp sets, Path of Petals, 1 for each group. So thanks again for stopping by, and I'll be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye!